It is better to have US and France military bases in Nigeria than let terrorists overrun us. Yuriwa speaks. Human Rights Writers Association of Nigeria, Yuriwa, has said it would be more reasonable to have the United States and France military bases in Nigeria than to allow Boko Haram and Fulani herdsmen to overrun the nation. The advocacy group said this after some concerned northern leaders on Friday warned against allowing the United States and the French government to relocate their military bases from Sahel to Nigeria. The warning was issued in an open letter addressed to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the leadership of the National Assembly. The northern leaders urged the federal government not to succumb to such pressure. In the letter, the northern leaders alleged that American and French governments have been lobbying Nigeria, along with other Gulf of Guinea nations, to sign new pacts that would allow them to redeploy the troops sacked from Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. The leaders of the region expressed worry that Nigeria, being the most strategically located among the Gulf of Guinea countries, may succumb to this pressure, thereby jeopardizing its defense and internal security. They also argue that the primary goal of these bases, squarely to combat terrorism in the Sahel, has not been achieved, as terrorism has only festered since these camps were set up. They also cautioned against compromising Nigeria's sovereignty and independence for short-term strategic alliances that may have their long-term consequences. But reacting to the position of the northern leaders, Huriwa, in a statement made available to the Newsband newspaper, said it would be reasonable for the Nigerian government to allow the USA and France to set up military bases, provided their presence will quicken the destruction and existential defect of Islamist terrorism in Nigeria under the guise of Boko Haram terrorists and armed Fulani militants. The rights group, in the same statement signed by its national coordinator, Comrade Emmanuel Onwubiko, said Huriwa is asking the northern leaders to be broad-minded and nationalistic in outlook instead of holding on to the myopic, mundane, ethno-Islamic worldview, which is not so different fundamentally from the self-destructive ideology of Islamists and extremists working to destabilize Nigeria, so they set up their warped religious state. Yeriwa said, "It is shocking that a problem wherein these leaders of the North is the possible setting up of the military bases of the United States of America and France, and not even the massive attacks in the Northwest by armed bandits, terrorists, and armed non-state actors who were behind the murders of some 30,000 Nigerians in the last 1 decade. We are of the view that there is nothing untoward or negative about the presence of the USA and France military bases inside of Nigeria's territorial areas if the government of the Federation permits it. The establishment of military bases by USA and France could likely positively fast-track the war on terror and may lead to the existential demolition of the Islamic extremist groups and terrorists such as Boko Haram terrorists, ISWAP Fulani terrorists, and others who are already threatening the existence of peace, normality, economic progress of much of Nigeria, including the entirety of Northwest and some areas of the vast geographical areas of northeast of Nigeria." Hura added that it will be sending a letter on Monday to support any immediate or future decisions of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration to welcome the French and the American government to set up military bases inside of Nigeria, so long as those nations will respect the sovereignty of Nigeria and not carry out active or subversive espionage that may undermine the territorial integrity of Nigeria. The government should accept these military bases if this nation accepts to provide adequate technical, military, and logical support to the armed forces of the Federation of Nigeria to wage a time-bound and effective war on the terror in Nigeria. Some concerned northern leaders on Friday warned against allowing the United States and the French government to relocate their military bases from the Sahel to Nigeria. The warning was issued in an open letter addressed to President Bola Tinubu and the leadership of the National Assembly. The northern leaders urged the federal government not to succumb to such pressure. Meanwhile, those who signed the letter, which a copy was obtained by a Newsband newspaper, include Professor Abubakar Sadiq Mohammed of the Center for Democratic Development, Research and Training, CEDDERT, Surat, Zaria, Professor Kabiru Sulaiman Chafi, a former Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, representing the Arewa Research and Development Project ARDP, Kaduna, Professor Attahiri Mohammed Jega, who is a former chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Jibrin Ibrahim from the Center for Democracy and Development, CDD Abuja, Awal Musa Rafsajani of the Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center, CCISLAC, CISLAC Abuja, and YZ Yao from the Center for Information Technology and Development, CITAD, CITAD, Kano. In the letter, the Northern leaders alleged that American and French governments have been lobbying Nigeria, along with other Gulf of Guinea nations, to sign new defense deal that would allow them to redeploy the troops sacked from Mali, Burkina Faso, and Nigeria, and Niger rather. The leaders of the region expressed worry that Nigeria, being the most strategically located among the Gulf of Guinea countries, will succumb to this pressure, thereby jeopardizing its defense and internal security. They also argued that the primary goal of these bases, clearly to combat terrorism in the Sahel, has not been achieved, as terrorism has only festered since those camps were set up. They also cautioned against compromising Nigeria's sovereignty and independence for short-term strategic alliances that may have dire long-term consequences. The letter reads, and I quote, "It is a common knowledge that the American and French government have been desperately lobbying the government of Nigeria, Benin, Togo, and Ghana to agree to sign a new defense pact that would enable them to redeploy their soldiers expelled from Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. Some of the troops have been redeployed to Chad, but France and United States prefer countries of the Gulf of Guinea that are more strategically located to serve their interests in the central zone of Sahel." There are indications that the Nigerian government may be favorably disposed to the proposed defense pact. However, there is a widespread apprehension that signing of a pact by Nigeria will have wide-ranging implications for defense and internal security of the country. On the 22nd of December 2023, the last of France's 1,500 troops deployed in Niamey and two other bases in the trade frontier of Nigeria marched out of the country. On March 16, 2024, the Niger Republic suspended the military agreement with the United States signed in 2012, which allowed the United States to station about 1,100 U.S. troops and civilian personnel permanently in Niger to operate from two American bases in the country. American Air Base 101 is located in Niamey, while Base 201 is located near the small northern city of Agadez, about 920 kilometers south of Niamey. These French and American bases were used by the French and Americans to carry out manned and unmanned civilian flights and other operations in the Sahel. The bases had become the focal point for Western intelligence and civilian operations in West Africa. The American and French troops were expelled because their presence did not serve any useful purpose. Instead, they were using the defense pact to carry out civilian operations in the region to serve their geopolitical strategic interests. As a result of this expulsion, the Gulf of Guinea countries, especially Nigeria, have been pressured to compromise their sovereignty by harboring these foreign troops who would come to serve the interests of NATO to the detriment of their national interests and security of the countries of the Gulf of Guinea. Now, I'd like to speak a lot on this. Me, I'm saying, can't we have a Boko Haram free, bandit free, secured Nigeria that does not have this Boko Haram banditry and all of that and terrorism activities, and also do not have this thing there, because me, I no support them. I no support this one, I no support that one. Make everybody did their deal. Alright, on this note, you have come to the end of the news, so thank you for tuning in to listen. Until I come your way next time, enjoy.